IHP Show with your 5D mystic, Maria. Self-agent right here, self-empowered. And we did do a bit of chit-chat today on that which IHP and all the content of IHP and that which I create will support. Supports the future humans, of course. Again, 5D collective. So I'm going to chit-chat, I'm going to turn around, but I'm going to read to you. And that's because that way you can, in case you don't know anything about IHP or myself. So number one, I do have a master's degree. I just don't mention it all the time because why bother? But it is in international relations and diplomacy. Also, I am an online marketer and entrepreneur, but I don't always share that either. So between the content creation and the self-agency and the self-empowerment, there's just a bunch of things that I could tell you. And let me begin. There is a surprise in store, which is why I got the honor to organize myself. And welcome aboard anyone who will be hearing me halfway through. They'll be like, what the heck is this woman talking about? Oh, by the way, as a mystic, I'm an empowered feminine. And because I am that, I've known since the beginning of my clairs, which I was with clairs, which are spiritual gifts, since even before I knew the words. Because, you know, I come with Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, my Christian Catholic upbringing, really great. I am the co-author of a book. It's called The Ways to God. My chapter is titled God is Discerning Equanimous Love. Because when you hear the fear-mongering 3D, 4D, they don't know who God really is. But I do know how to explain it to you. So let me get to that. And that's why, again, IHP is not for everyone, nor is the future. The future humans are already here. The ones who don't believe it, they actually laugh at neuroscience and say that it's pseudoscience. And I say, no, I'm pseudoscience. Neuroscience is data. But you could join the flat earthers if you want and, you know, hang out with them. I'm sure one day we'll thank them for maybe proving the earth is flat. You know what I mean? Like curiosity. Why do we need to get rid of it? But are they curious or are they simply put self-righteous energy of those who have been unseen, unheard, unsoothed, unsafe, and need Patrick Tian to become their actual reparented grown-up? Hi. And so that's where I'm thinking it's the latter. Do you know why? It's because of the way they handle themselves. Basically, if we don't agree that the earth is flat with them, they don't play with us and they don't want to be curious. So that tells you that's a red flag, meaning the minute somebody is emotionally immature with words and they say, my story is true, okay, so I do know, again, source, consciousness, Akash, that's why I'm sharing mystic stories. Stay around. The brood, I love if you're here, if you want to keep hearing, because I have some reading to do, but I also want to share a beautiful quote that Sadhguru gave. And because of being a mystic, but also knowing God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and the whole forgive thing, yes, and then neuroscience that proves there's no demons inside anyone. So again, I'm the pseudoscience woo lady. Neuroscience is data. And then I'm also attachment trauma educated. Thank you. If you stay, you'll have more fun because it's between stories and information. And I do fuck it up and I curse. So yeah, I can forget words and data. But I am trying to say that the future humans, we're all here. So IHP and all the content I do will resonate with people who like to own their life. They own their life and they own their sense of self. So they also like to say, I do own my destiny, even if some people say we don't. And some people say we have no meaning, right? Like the scientists, I've seen a different number of them tell us that it's all about luck. But it's okay. I mean, even if it's luck, we still put our best foot forward. That's at least if you have a body that's in connection. So I get to explore the depths of feelings with love because that's my oxytocin gene hormone. So when you learn what a self-agent is, which is what future humans are, we like to own our sense of self again because we don't have any of the trauma charges, any of the child stuff that we can work together with the good therapist. So I honor Patrick Tian. He's a great childhood trauma survivor. I always say healed and healing, and he's a good therapist for anybody who wants to go and heal. And that's why I agree when he says you don't have to forgive, because I can only imagine realizing that my entire life I've had a challenge with feelings, but also with relationships. And so I'm serious, but I do make jokes and a lot of fun. And that's because our 4D, 3D brothers and sisters have decided that they think it's Luciferian era, that neuroscience is bullshit, and that somehow someone is a winning team versus we all win because life always wins. And that's the other part. The people who actually think that God could lose, like really, intelligence, like the ego, human beings. I cannot begin to tell you the self-righteous ego, its blindness is completely visible to the ones of us who have intelligent minds. Because of course I'd want to be special, like more than others, but I'm not. I'm just special to the loved ones that, and that is actually a nice thing. So every 24 hours we can make a difference in someone's life. So that's the part. If it's that simple, it is that simple. But it is also, as a mystic, since you are here, FYI, it's really fun. So I know about, 3 twin flames. I got a bunch of soulmates. I know my future husband. I know that I'll be on Earth and I'll leave Earth when it's done. And so that's downloads and channeling. And I'm an Akashic record reader if you're curious. But yeah, it's all fun in my body type because I have a body that uses my ventral vagal state and I have an integrated brain. And that's what I noticed. The 3D, 4D, I call them that because they are actually in the low frequency. Anybody know the scale? There's a consciousness scale, and this is John Mertz. So it's been since 2005 that I've been on ascension. And I went light body, rainbow body. I've had all the expansion of my body. And here's where, let me read for Sadhguru, as he shares, how can you love one and hate the other when the same divine exists in all? So see, this is where people get upset when people of mysticism, because I don't usually say we are divine, we're a piece, we're a speck of the energy. So, I mean, it's not like I consider myself divinity in and of itself because I'm actually imperfect and flawed. So the reality is the word okay, I embody a piece of that, which is creatorship, that makes sense, but that I am it. And so when you need to feel special about who you are, you don't actually welcome, well, I'm just a simple human being who can make mistakes and not. The secure attachment, self-led person is considered boring. That's the word that detachment coaches use for us because apparently, no, not apparently, I know exactly why they use the word. So those who do not have secure attachment, those who do not own their sense of self, they actually are used to living life with not only pseudo-aliveness, not grounded in the depths of them, but also their first 3 years of life and or first 8 full of chaos. So they're familiar with the chaos and the shared fantasy of a lower gut. So it's actually not something that needs to be made fun of. As my teacher taught me about drama kings and drama queens, he said, that's disrespectful. I said, well, not everybody's going to want to heal that. They actually think that they can say, I'm divinity, and then talk about other people and hate them. And I say, God taught me that hate is a bad word. When I put 2 people in my hate box, I said, look, God, I'm really angry. I'm angry. One of them is my friend. I made peace with him. And the other person had nothing to do with me. And I said, look, right now they're going in my angry box and my hate box. And I know it's a bad thing, but I'm not dying yet. So I'm going to keep them there. And then before I die, I'll try and process it. And eventually it all worked out. So people who resonate with that, which is IHP and being a future human, basically paid free content live. Welcome everybody who comes in and goes. I don't know how YouTube is doing the algorithm thing. I do love TikTok, I have to say, but I do like to be on YouTube lives too, because I did notice that you enjoy the lives, and I enjoy them. It makes it feel more personal, and I enjoy talking to anyone who wants to chime in, and I'll try and acknowledge you while I also look at my big piece of paper. And I have a fan in the background, so if you hear wind, it's not the wind from outside. Okay, so as I was saying, people who resonate with everything that I share, stories included, they're intrigued by self-mastery and playing with the texture of feelings and thoughts, as well as composition of thoughts with the use of words. So I've never understood why people don't know that knowledge is going to continue to be built, why they would actually think people who don't take their children to hospitals that they are more faithful than us. Where was it written that we're not supposed to learn about things and science? So I'm very far removed from that which I personally consider mediocrity, even though I do understand that not everybody is able to access the same level of, is it education? Because I met people in college and they were doing a lot of things they were not happy of, including sleeping with each other and miserable. And I'm like, STDs, just FYI, but really it's not about the sleeping with each other, it's the compulsiveness. So when you have so many smart human beings out there, the therapists, the mental health professionals, the neuroscientists, they're giving content away for free, telling us exactly why we have people who will not lead a healthy life It's straightforward. And I was in college, and I'm like giving these people already in my mid-20s, like, okay, don't do it. And apparently now I'm 45 and I still see people, they actually look at me like I'm the weirdo. I've never done drugs. Yes, I drink moderately, and then I try to keep up with my healthy exercises. So not only is our level of intrigue and interest different than the people who don't use the capacity of their body, the body of yours has 3 nervous system responses. So the dorsal vagal, sympathetic, there's your modulated and dysregulated, and then the ventral vagal, and it's really awesome. So Sadhguru, he says it's like wine, to be in this grace. I love Sadhguru. If you don't know him, check him out. He's enlightened for sure, and actually he said this thing where I teased him as a mystic. So there's different soul age groups also, enlightenment soul age group, spiritual soul age group. There's like the first soul age group. Okay, I have sources. If you're curious, anyone, you can always leave a comment, leave an email, something. I can get you the resources. I can find it. I have them saved somewhere. So I also found out that every country has different soul age groups, and this makes so much sense. So if you know the word dharma, I do dharma, even though we all bring forth karma because we take actions. But it is true that it is a very beautiful moment in our time for the mystic woo-woo lady here, and those of us who do know where we are at. So Sadhguru, he's sharing this thing in an interview where he told, was it a science man? He told someone, I think they were talking about the age, how many years are left for the universe or something like that. And he's like, he's on the same team with the scientists basically. But in this interview, he's also telling us that this will be his last lifetime. Because I know that the spirituality soul age group tend to learn about the self by basically embarking on that journey, I just said, no, it's not true. He'll be back. He's just even though obviously he's an enlightened one. So this is why I admit sometimes I think I know things that are not true. Everybody can get it wrong. So later on at some other point though, I was figuring out where we are at with the timeline and how science and spirituality are coming together to share that, again, all of our brothers and sisters, they can navigate life in one of 2 ways. So when you are dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, unexpecteds, and undesirable situations, a 5D mystic like myself and anybody who is, so 5D means Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness, humanly speaking, integrated brain, okay? So you have true confidence. You don't hide upset. You deal with emotions and you actually enjoy discovering yourself. This is the part. It's not horrible because if you're using your prefrontal cortex, you're processing emotions in a healthy way. So the mindset is part of it. The body is another part of it. They work together. And if your body is not in connection, then you won't get results, which is why the lovely naysayer of IHP, when he got reactive with one of my pieces of content 1 minute, he said, this is pseudoscience bullshit self-help crap. And I said, well, it's pseudoscience, yes, which is really good for me to remember because that way sciences will come and say, okay, she's at least grounded in reality, knowing she's woo-woo. And I love my sciences because the scientists, they actually know that 97% of what is out there is unavailable for them to observe. So they know that we don't know everything, which is why a true scientist won't say, I've never seen a medium ever. No, that's another self-righteous human being who thinks they know everything, and you just leave it alone because you know what people who are insecure need. Oh, I don't pat people on the back, by the way. A self-agent who's self-led gravitates here because we don't be like, let's excuse mediocrity and buffoonery. We say, okay, look, some of us can sound weird, but we do know what we're talking about. excuse me, some dude, random dude, and having a self-empowering conversation with a person who needs it. We're friends, we're chit-chatting about life and dealing with shit, and I'm saying, you can do it, you know? And they say that I'm confusing science and spirituality. I say, no, I have a podcast. I bring them together, human, spirituality, and sciences. Fact, actually, quantum physics, the universe, all of it, but I'm not as cultured as those neuroscientists and physicists. As I have a book that I haven't read yet. It's called Existential Physics by Sabine something. Do I have my Kindle here? Well, I won't grab it this time, but I look forward to reading the book. The reason Sabine wrote it is because she got asked a question in a taxi by this dude who said, you know, my grandma told me that the reason she's alive is because of quantum physics. And so she got the idea to explain quantum physics, and she has a channel that I love it, but it's still gibberish. I'm still like, wow, I really want to understand. This is like me not, I'm speaking English right now, so I'm assuming you all understand me, but it's like when someone speaks a foreign language to you and you're like, okay, I'm going to try really, really hard blah, 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 to understand what you're saying, but I don't understand it. But sometimes I grab a couple golden nuggets. So anyway, Sabine's trying to help us know what quantum physics with existential questions are. And she does a really great job, although I haven't read the book yet. Even I have read like the first parts of the chapter 1 on time, and I have such a bad time with numbers. Tell me a kilometer. My brain's like, I can't grasp the concept. I know the number, I'm speaking it. This is where wisdom, understanding, integrating the knowledge, no. I'm still waiting for the genius that's going to be able to have me taste like the number, because that's where I have interoception. I don't know about you, but I can feel things that move, my blood, all of that great stuff. And then I also can understand when my brain really doesn't understand something. And so sometimes I'm really stupid. And that's why I respect when someone says, are you stupid? Feel first. Yes, I feel first. And then someone will say, I don't want it to be a world where it's about what feels right, what is right. And this is a human being who actually doesn't know that we are complete feelings first. And that's because we're a 3-year-old, first of all, but she's all here right now. Okay, so with curiosity and awareness, hi, Fan Di Lorenzo Simonetti. I don't know who that is, but hey, #1 fan. I like that. They give you badges. I look forward to one day having a #1 fan at IHP, or how about a number like 100 fans? Let's all be fans together. Okay, so as I am chit-chatting about 5D Mystic Stories and being a human from the future, which really just means that we take care of having a wellness mindset and well-being lifestyle. So we get to be securely attached. We have a sense of self. Okay, I take seriously the being whole and being in in alignment with our mind, body, self. But I do know that some people don't, and they actually think they know everything. And in their body with self-righteousness, they go around like the flat earthers thinking they're all right. So they won't be coming to IHP because they won't like me. And they don't really like anybody who is the ventral energy. Yes, I've learned that too from the smart scientists. So when people who have attachment wounds come into contact with people who are securely attached and healthy self-worth, and therefore they're confident for real, I have no flares, no insecurities, no self-doubt. And so that is the minute that my eyes are looking straight at them. And because we will resonate, not necessarily, but we will sing together automatically. And I've shared this with people. They could find me not to their liking. And some of the people are like, you know what? Wow, now that you've explained that, that's why sometimes, I really don't like you. I'm like, there you go. Good. Now, if you want, you can handle whatever came up. Or you can tell me about it, but you don't have to. So it's nice to have honesty, which is what grown-ups can do. Because, again, I know I can be annoying. Can't you, right? Can't we all? Aren't we all a little bit of Manny, Diego, and Sid from Ice Age, where we all can be annoying in a fun way, in a healthy way? But we have to be emotionally mature to take the jokes. I was definitely, as a kid, not a person who could take a joke. And today, I still don't understand jokes, but I can handle when people say, okay, enough, Maria. We can't explain it to you all the time. This is really boring, because I bore them when I have them explain jokes. And so let me put these pieces of paper down. That way I can tell you a little bit more of story time and then head on out. But people who are curious about personal and spiritual growth in the moments of life where you are whammy, so when you get hit with the unknown, uncertainty, unwanted, that's where, as a 5D mystic for my stories, I begin with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I continue with it, although I'm not welcomed by all because of the ones who think that they own books and that they own stories, and the ones who don't know that neuroscience is not, I believe in it, it is data. No, I believe in you, God, I love you, man, but I believe. And that's the point. So when someone doesn't take good information and want to notice why they're not liking it, it's very clear why people who don't like the sciences, anyways, I'm going to leave that alone and I'm going to continue talking. Okay, so for 5D Mystic, anybody who is expanding every time something comes their way, whether it's personal growth, spiritual growth, Ascension energies, they are actually actively here. But again, I don't have to use the spiritual stuff. I can use science. Science explained to me tectonic plates when I was in, high school. It explained to me that the sun is a star. And it explained to me, how the universe works, which is why it's not surprising that an enlightened one like Sadhguru will be talking to physicists and they'll find each other on the same page. Anybody who doesn't understand at this point that science and spirituality come together are those same people who are not aware of how much knowledge is out there and how much this is not about a special group. No, they're using stories to create groups versus we have words and we have knowledge and we integrate it. So like for me, when I don't know numbers and when I don't understand a joke, part of why I ask, can you explain it, is I will laugh with you, but I know I didn't understand it. So I also feel I'm wasting your time because you just offered to me something that I can't actually integrate. So that means I can't make it my own. So I basically didn't honor what you shared with me. Is honoring you and I, like right now, are you all, I hope you're having a good time, but I'm honoring that you're using, it's been 20 minutes of your time, however many of you, with me. That's a special gift. You don't have more than 24 hours every day. We don't know that. People don't think that way. So for me, when I don't understand something, I've learned how sometimes people can think I'm stupid. That's okay. I am actually stupid on some things. And I will go ask questions because I will want to try to understand it. And as for numbers and 1 kilometer or 1 mile, it doesn't matter. I have yet to figure out why I really don't, I can't. It's nerve-wracking to say the least, but it might have something to do with the way my brain is made. So anyways, besides that, as a mystic, as I expanded my oversoul, I didn't get lost because once I got clairs, I simply knew it's spiritual gifts. Today I can tell you clairs, spiritual gifts, the neuroscientists also look into it. That doesn't diminish or make it less beautiful to be able to have tapped into consciousness, tapped into Akash source, to download channel. It's also not less beautiful just because scientists don't believe in it. So if someone doesn't believe in that which we experience, then we're upset now. That's the part of where insecure and not securely attached, meaning a human being who needs others to pat them on the back to validate. That's I need to be seen, to be soothed, to be safe, to be secure, to be myself. So you want words also, though, to have that same composite. I don't need that. I believe in God. I have my experiences and I can understand data where it is and it doesn't disprove anything with my spiritual life, which is the one thing that makes all those people who I, to this day, am very sad that when I present, I have a good Christian Catholic upbringing. No, not everyone welcomes me because I am a mystic. So I read tarot. I'm a Akashic record reader. I channel and download. I'm a Reiki master. Theologian went about his business making Reiki out to be bad energy by using a bunch of ancient books. Ooh, wow. Yet I have to respect people. So I will let people know, hey, look, I don't know what your faith is, but just so you know, some of those institutions are saying bad energy. So I want to be respectful while understanding what ignorance is. And again, ignorance is something people do choose to keep. And the shame on the cloak people and any of those who want to talk about being leaders and who are basically just deciding, we own it all. Everybody else who doesn't want to be with us, again, flat earthers. It's about them not actually hanging out with all of us. So when someone is isolating with their own belief, there's a group of people who don't take their children to hospitals, and they think they're more faithful. So it's very clear where the disconnect is. That's the part of what makes me very passionate. One, about the 5D collective of mystics, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. We have the Dalai Lama, who thankfully he shared, hey, all religious, different figures, let's come together. We've all been doing this, for the same reasons. So as I moved into clairs, I knew that my human makeup was why I could have the relationship with God and Source and Akash, and I just knew that I wouldn't be welcomed by all. Then I got to become more and more part of our group. And so the twin flame thing, it's not tragedy. It's not true. I mean, you go through emotional stuff, yes, but that's actually part of life. Even without you having clairs, you would still have emotional ups and downs. And you don't have to have ups and downs once you've learned to use your prefrontal cortex, which is why you create resiliency with using the inner growth mindful mindset practices. That's why with our communication skills for my paid subscribers, I'm starting with anger, but we're going to look at fear and sadness. Those are 3 main subcortical areas: surprise, happiness, disgust, and continue along that path of discovering how you feel and how you think, and playing with words and playing with feelings, because that's the point of what a body that is in connection can do, is we can feel and think with ease, even if the opportunities can sometimes whammy. So when I've been whammy, it's been with my oversoul, yes. And actually, what I'm happy is that I'm here for those of you who are mystics, and if you, any of you have, well, for people overall, but the oversoul, for spiritual people, the reason 4D began to piss me off was because they began to disrespect all of those other people by calling them energy vampires, dark auras. Then they started to say you have this tragedy with this twin flame, and then they started to say you have a fake one and a real one, and they just began to disrespect every single bit of all others with narratives, the stories. So the stories are what they use to, one, create their books, but their books aren't flexible. It's like, oh, you have to do it this way, otherwise it's a fake thing. Excuse me, you think you own spiritual stuff? What? Because of 10 books, 20, how many? 30? You don't own anything. Everyone is their own piece, one of consciousness. And then 2, we all can use healthy traits and not healthy traits. If you expand yourself, you become more loving, you become more wise, you become more enamored with life. That's you growing. If you become more stingy and you become rigid, you're going to stagnate. It's not good or bad, but that's where shame, blame, fault, revenge, that's where the unseen, unheard, and they do self-righteous. So how can you love one and hate the other when the same divine exists in all? Anyone who knows this doesn't say, let me praise a person who is in a low frequency. Let me understand that a person who's in a low frequency has something that I don't know, and I've never walked one day in their shoe, but there's explanations for it. I don't need to use a story. And if you want to talk about God, Akash, source, divinity, and then you want to completely begin to make it sound like you are needed for people to connect, that without your subliminal messages or without your ways, and that's the part of what, though, anyone who's not secure, they want to have a leader that will, they want someone to tell them how it's going to go because they are afraid of the unknown. And so that's a side note. But I didn't get lost. I didn't have questions. I just began to understand that 4D was disrespecting all of people's own free will choice in one way, shape, or form, with these stories of one group is better than another group. And that is where, with the twin flames, it's simply put that you do get to pursue becoming all of you. It's okay. So that just means that you are a person who has decided to commit to have integrity, that we all have flaws, and that we can, in our relationships, grow together or have splinters and ruptures, right? So we can have disagreements. But with those disagreements, we don't have to cancel each other out. And so if you're of a 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving collective, you will not have treated any person from your oversoul, any dream, any download, any of galactic interactions, any of that which would come your way as something that is good or bad. But that's because you're prepared emotionally, mentally to be grounded in reality and to not be, like one of Sadhguru's quote says, deluded by your imagination. But that requires a body that is also able to be in the prefrontal, because the bodies that are in pseudo-aliveness, they feel sensations, images, behaviors, affects, and meanings a lot more on top. But again, side note, so for our late IHP, as I continue to want to try to conclude at our 30-ish minute mark, the people who resonate with everything here are spiritual growth, personal growth. We have restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating lives. For the spiritual and mystics, we live spirituality. So we live a life of meaning and connection beyond our solo self, and we are fulfilling our soul's calling. We know that all of the brothers and sisters out there have one of 2 choices: the free will to choose to expand and grow with us. And the ones who need extra help, they can use therapists, and then they can, join us too. If they don't want to, they don't have to. For mysticism and channeling and downloading, what I can say is I did notice that we have a lot of people out there giving you all messages of very important dates. And so like tomorrow we have our new moon, and the 25th is like a 0 day. And others use the word judgment. And they're using a lot of different textbooks to give you a lot of sensationalized information. So yes, things are on a roll. But to put it humanly speaking, because that's where I come in, I bring the human to the spiritual and spirituality elements. And when I began my ascension journey, I said at one point to myself, the scientists, they won't be calling it 5D. And they'll be using their science words to just talk about, how our environment doing, how the sun is doing, how all of that, right? So the ones of us who use the spiritual lingo, we're the ones who are aware of what time frame. So we have began to settle into the societal culture, the new societal culture of, we have new words that we use between pronouns and not pronouns, and the new modern day therapists with their information. I just watched a video from The Well where they were talking about mindset. So we have a lot of good information on how to get our mind into that inner growth, and so no longer with an inner critic or an outer critic. So settling in with that, which I think the mental health professionals and neurobiology and neuroscientists have been doing their research for at least 20, 30 years at this point. I mean, 1950, was it 1950? I think it was 1950 or 1960 where they uncovered the way that our nervous system was embodied. And so society, by the way, if you didn't know, I have a sociology book. It's a really great one. We do go through universally accepted concepts, right? So right now what we've seen is, thank goodness, it's nice that mystics and spiritual individuals can talk about our clairs. We can talk about all the Reiki and Akashic record readings and hypnotherapy, which is considered different, but still we're a lot more easygoing with being able to talk about it. We still have groups who don't like us and who judge it in the new age. And that is something we've always had, which is why it's not like abnormal. And so if you look at a history book that tells you about the Renaissance, the medieval times, the Enlightenment, that's what I was trying to get at. So I know, our species is going through that, evolution and expansion. The 3D, 4D, they make it sound like we have to pick a side and that there's some battle going on with the turmoil that we're seeing. And that's the part of why it's clear that they're of a lower frequency, because of the way I'm explaining to you how the integrated brain works. Secure attachment. We know things are going down, we're breathing, we're at ease. The mindfulness practices help for that. But it's because a person has comfortableness in the body's ventral vagal state. If, on the other hand, the body is consistently used to being survival, their embodied brain is alert, alert. The amygdala, I have a hand model from Dr. Daniel Siegel. And the 4D, 3D, typically, they're all, and I have a way I organize them. I'm just not sharing it right now because it's unimportant. But since 2005 to 2025, they have not budged. This is where it's sad. They have not budged, which is why I then think of Robert Sapolsky with his book, Determined. Maybe he's right. Maybe we don't have that free will that I want to talk about or that others want to talk about. But I do know that with knowledge, we do have the opportunity to share with people. If your body is not yet feeling good in the morning, Dr. Amy Apijan helps people understand neuroception and how the body, even after years of therapy, could still be looking to stay in that survival mode. So we have plenty of information. That's the part of what is being shared that I know makes a difference. And why the societal culture, yes, we've shifted, we're in. And then as for the frequency, well, that I could tell you so much about my body's ascension and my chakras that moved into expansion alongside our earth. And that's the part of why, woo-woo, yes. And I'll save my stories of light worker and light body, and we were all light workers, but that stuff for our community as we build it, because I definitely find that it's an honor to share mystic stories with those who are experiencing it. And also I don't want to use people's times who don't understand necessarily what I'm talking about. And like I said, 5D Mystic Stories, it all moves into expansion for those of us who are in the 5D collective. The 3D, 4D, I did know that by now they would settle in. I can understand, humanly speaking, what this means. And it's not good or bad. Consciousness has always expanded with two frequencies. And that's the part. Hi, Moonlight. Thank you for your hearts. It's so great to see you. So the love and the fear, you can put the shame over here and you can put the love over here, and you can understand that shame in and of itself is not bad if you're growing from it and you move out of the low frequency of it. And it's a word, okay, because it's a charge. The love can be unhealthy when people are actually patting people on the back, for example, that are not healthy self-worth. I've had that happen. I don't pat anyone on the back. I won't shame you, but I won't give you a green pass just because you make me aware that you're unhappy with me for some reason called you don't like what I want to do or say. And that's one thing any healthy self-worth person, as future humans, stay around, like, share, subscribe, be around, be back, because you're a self-agent. Because it's not about me having to insult you. It's that I know healthy self-worth. So healthy self-worth is not, I'm a healer, how dare you trauma dump. No, that's not healthy self-worth. That's a martyr superior or blamer victim, whatever it is. That's an ill self-righteous energy that needs a therapist, because what you just did, not only you're not a healer, you actually weaponized trauma dump, and you used it in an email where somebody was just sharing something very personal. You could have just said, thank you so much for what you shared with me. This is not my area. I can share with you where to go. So people who are, thank you, Moonlight. You're so awesome. Thank you so much. I was reading the comments if you all don't know what's going on. You're so sweet. I'm going to blush now. But the person who said this healing thing, I'm thinking, what kind of a healer? One, are you? But one, everyone heals themselves. Two, we're all a part of source again. And three, we support each other to expand by speaking to each other and talking to each other. So sometimes people who won't want to be around us, it's okay. No hard feelings. But yeah, you don't have to treat a person like that because there's no need. But if you don't know how to handle your emotional reactivity because you're not taking note of it, but also you're endorsing your own behavior, which is why it isn't a let's split each other up into groups. Like, I don't like to say we have 5D, 3D, 4D, but I have noticed that they did and are continuing to complete, like, just go to YouTube. I mean, you're on it right now, but I recently saw, I'm noticing a pattern, a theme. Oh, I'm not going to make fun of anything right now, but anyways, 5D collective of mystic, spiritual, and mindful living, loving people. We expand our oversoul. We do have twin flame or flames or soulmates and all that, but we don't cut cords and need to eliminate anything. We understand good information for what it is. We understand our ancient ancestors and the stories. So we know why we have had stories before. They didn't have our embodied brain. Yes, I do remember past lives. Yeah, Moonlight. Oh my God. Pat, do you want to know? I can't tell you all of them right now because I'd be keeping you for a long time. So I'm an Akashic record reader. And before I even began doing Akashic record readings, I had my first downloads of 3 past lives thanks to one of my twin flames. And before that, I had began already astral traveling. And so I had already began living different dimensions of me, different people in me, you know, so there's just so much, Moonlight. And so, yeah, then I began to also be an Akashic record reader. And then I've seen my future life, by the way, Moonlight. I know my future husband. And I know when my future husband came to be and how he came to be and who he came to be with. So it's really fun. I also had an LBLT recently. That made it even more fun. So I added to my past life remembrance, which actually, since I think you're engaged with these topics, you know what I'm talking about. I closed out my masculine, the karma. So we do with our souls, not sure how much you know, Moonlight, but we have a feminine element and masculine element. I'm going to try to use different words. I'm a feminine. I know I'm a feminine. My counterparts are all masculines, but we also have the masculine element. I like to let you know that empowered feminine is when you have your body in ventral vagal state. That means that you know how to use your social engagement system. That means you're comfortable and at ease. It's something you either know how to shift into or you don't. But that's for another time. So empowered feminine, and that means that you're also using an integrated brain. And an empowered masculine is what I call the empowered integrated brain, or the integrated brain, because the left is the masculine, so the liking to break things down into little pieces, and A and B can't touch each other, which is why when people hear many visions, yes, Yes, I've had, well, visions. I actually, those don't always happen, but there's been moments where yes, where I get it. It's like a movie in the behind the scenes, like you see a glimpse of it. And one of the visions I had was of the earth of the future. Actually, I was at in church. I was in a sermon, not a sermon. It was a commemorating somebody who had passed. And as they're reading from the book, I saw a glimpse of what they were reading for the future, which made sense actually for what I know where we're headed, even though I won't share details. But yeah, past lives, astral experience. So you had an astral experience. I'm going, what was your experience, Moonlight? If you want to share, I can interact with you a little bit and then I'll go. But thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. You can follow, I do more lives. I'm also on TikTok and I'm happy. No, thank you. You're so sweet. Okay, well, I will then allow myself to conclude. I think that's what we're doing. Are you going anywhere, Moonlight? By the way, I love the moon. My blog, I began a blog before I got to podcasts and YouTube, and it's Luna, which means moon in Italian. And so, love the moonlight. We have a new moon tomorrow, Moonlight. So, thank you all for stopping by. And as I conclude the part about masculine and feminine, just so I can close out that story, and the aspect, in case you're curious, because I know some people will watch the live later on. So, empowered again, feminine, empowered masculine, and great. That's great news, Moonlight. And the integrated brain, so the masculine left because it's chit chatter and it doesn't like when other things touch each other. The right, on the other hand, is where that's the self agent has access to their emotional brain. So if you can handle the depths of your emotional plane, that's why you don't have what is called structural dissociation, and you have bilateral and vertical and overall integration. So again, ventral vagal state engaged. I can handle all my emotions. And oh, really? On the topic? Oh, okay, got it. Yeah. Well, I'm happy you're here, and I am happy. Keep following, because yeah, definitely. Long time ago, I'm thinking the visions, right? But yes, this is the one thing that I actually missed when I was going through all this, was having people like this, it was related. I know what humans are, and I know what I'm experiencing doesn't have to be something overwhelming. Also, that we're not good or bad, this whole divide in a certain way, but to be able to also have visions, downloads, and to share them with humility, as well as my battery's dying. Hold on, let's see here. I need to charge my phone. Here we go. So anyways, the masculine of mine closed out the karma this lifetime. So we will have had, depending on your soul's lifetime, as I said, we have soul age groups. So beginners, intermediate, that baby soul, I think there's a number of them. I need to get my website. I actually have I lose my words. I get all excited. 1 second. I'll find it. It's called Lone Wolf. So Lone Wolf has these soul age groups right here, soul ages. And that is where I found the soul ages also for the countries. But let me give you this one first. So there's baby soul, then there's intermediate soul, there's spirituality soul age group, and it's not that one. Where are you, Lone Wolf? Hold on, I'm not done. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so if you want, lonerwolf.com, and actually I am going to have to go, my lovely viewers. And so with that, I will actually leave you, Loner Wolf. You can check out soul age groups, and that gives you answers to a couple of things, and including what I was trying to get to, which we'll pick up again in a minute. Not in a minute, at some other point. Thank you so much, Moonlight. They're trying to call me, so I have to go, but I will try to remember where we left off. And thank you all for tuning in.